We made it past our test over sections 1 through 5, so here we go on to section 6.6, which is function operations. At this point in our lives, of course, we know how to add and subtract numbers, real numbers, and multiply them and divide them. Do you know you also can do the same thing with functions themselves? We can still add and subtract, we can multiply, we can divide all of those functions the same way that we can do those operations with numbers themselves. There's one new operation that you'll learn today too, called composition, in our third video here. But for now, let's just kind of start off with some adding and subtracting. So example 1 here. And this is example 1a. We're going to use the function f of x equals 4x plus 7, and also g of x equals the square root of x plus x. We're going to find f plus g of x and also f minus g of x. After we find those, then we're going to find what is the domain of each. So I guess before we get started, let's remember what domain means. Domain is the possible x values that we could have. So f of x plus g of x will start there. That's what this means here, f plus g of x. And the same way that we would add two numbers together, we can add our functions together. So we're going to take 4x plus 7, one function, plus my other, square root of x plus x. And like what we would normally would do, let's combine our like terms. 4x and x we can combine. We get 5x plus 7 plus the square root of x. There's nothing else we can do to simplify because we have an x here, we have just a number, we have a variable that's a radical too. So this is done. F plus g of x, we figured that out. Let's think domain. Domain is our possible x values. And usually when I'm trying to think of domain, instead of thinking what are the possible values, I like to think, are there any situations that I couldn't use x? And again, kind of keep in mind the world of real numbers here. They're values that I couldn't use. This 5x part, okay, I could plug anything there. The square root of x part, remember what happens if I plug in a negative number, then I'd have the square root of a negative that's imaginary, and we don't like that. So my domain here, since x can't be negative, think about too, can x be 0? Is that okay? Yeah, we can just square to 0. So x has to be greater than or equal to 0 for my domain. Because of that square root of x. Okay, let's think through a similar process with f minus g of x. Take function f, it's 4x plus 7, minus function g. And here's the real reason I like to use parentheses, especially when we're subtracting our functions, because that helps me remember it. I'm not just subtracting the square root of x, we're subtracting x also. I don't know if it helps to write out this middle step. That's really minus the square root of x minus x. But then combine like terms, 4x and negative x is 3x plus 7 minus the square root of x. Again, can't do anything else to simplify. Okay, let's think domain again here. We have a similar situation, I guess, but think about what numbers can we not use for x. Well, we could use anything here. Same process, I can't use a negative number here. So our domain, once again, x is greater than or equal to 0.